Greetings, sir and sirettes, and welcome back to From the Depths with me, Lathrix, and a brand new mini build. And by a mini build, I mean quite large build, but nowhere near as large as the E. coli and other such ships. Welcome to currently an unnamed vessel. I've decided that my lovely E. coli really does need some support vessels to aid it in its journey across the ocean and to defeat the multiple factions that dare to very stupidly stand in its way. And this is the basic husk of the very first. So, as usual, the theme of my lovely fleet, as I've been discussing as time goes on, is that ships have been converted in times of war and eventually will have their own lore, thanks to the lovely people who keep sending me it, and I have very little. I haven't really got a good way yet to store them, but I am planning on soon having a great way to store the stories and such, so that they may be kept as canon, so that my lovely ships will actually have an identity and a reason for being. So as you can see, most likely, you've already probably noticed, this is a laser vessel, because I have a bit of a soft spot for lasers. As last night, I had quite a good time, actually, working on quite compact laser builds. That lovely little metal cube there, you see, the lovely, well, it's not a cube, a rectangle, I suppose, a 3D rectangle, which does have a name, which I can't think of right now, actually stores the entire laser system for this gun, and there is the exact same on the other side. Now, in the last series, or at least a series a while back, I had something similar to this called the Mini-Las, which was just basically a tiny wooden raft with two very, very, very weak lasers strapped to it. Now, this is not that. This is going to be oh so much more. The firepower of this thing should be significant enough that it can actually make a difference in combat without being the dominant factor. So we have we already have a laser defense system being powered by a laser in the middle. We have a single missile warning spinny block of fun, which I'll be putting in other places. And we have some, well, I've never played with these before, but paddles. Yay, paddles! But these need to be changed quite heftily. Oddly enough, they're actually too powerful. I am going to have a larger one, but right now, these are on 2% speed, and it's already quite fast. If I ramp them up to 30, this thing literally goes out of the water. So, yeah, we got to do something about that now, don't we? So, with that in mind, let's continue the build. Now, the middle has already been sectioned off, because this section here is going to be the final weapon, which will be yet another laser weapon. However, I'm going to be playing around with non-standard lasers, so, sorry, not non-standard, non-Q switch lasers, which basically means lasers which fire continuously, as opposed to the portioned out lasers, the paused lasers, and that's what's going to go in the middle of this weird kayak thing, and we'll go here. The seat area will be here, of course will be changed, this will be hidden and this will be raised, and there'll be a way to access this area here through the front. Once again, this area needs to be changed. I'm going to move this back a bit. Like I say, this is basically the skeleton structure currently, but I'm actually quite happy with it. It's looking as I wanted it to, which is a rare thing indeed. So let's get cracking, shall we? Okay, so first of all, let's just build the structure so we know how far we can build. And currently is a little bit, it's a bit low in the water. That's because I built a keel which is a bit too big for it, and I'm going to be shrinking the keel down as well. So how are we going to do this? Well, I don't really need this to be too big, honestly. I'd like it to be somewhat made out of wood. Like I say, I like the idea of it being looking repurposed, even if that does come at the price of actual efficiency. I mean, just look at the influenza if you want to see the perfect example of that. So it's 1, 2, 3, yeah, okay. 1, 2, 3, click. Then how do I do this? That won't actually be the perfect size. That doesn't really matter too much if we make this complete metal at the front, giving it some form of purpose. There we are. Actually pretty heavy, I imagine. Yeah, it's got us to sink a little bit, but not too much. Okay, well, this is where this will have to start changing. So, like I say, this is going to be moved forward anyway. I'm thinking just to here. For now, we'll just have it like this. So that's kind of the basic structure it's going to have, with the glass in the front eventually. But until I start actually making it look pretty, I can't really tell where the glass is going to be, so we might as well just continue what we're doing. But on the top will be a 360 turret, because obviously the two guns currently in there, as you can probably tell, are stationary. As much as I do love stationary weaponry, I don't know why, but I think it's cooler. It would be better if it was, you know, able to move. Okay, let's put this like this, and then we'll have the... where are you, my beautiful lasers? Not laser combiner, we need the actual multi-purpose laser itself, which can go here in the middle. There we go. Which can be attached to the awesome thing known as laser connectors. I'm going to put it like this for a bit of stability there, okay. So let's see, so this is the edge here, so we could just have a single. Like I said, it doesn't really need to be too powerful. We could branch it off into a few, but the problem with that is the middle line of laser would be so the side laser would be a bit weaker, but that doesn't really matter honestly, now I come to think about it, so that's what I will do. So let's do that then, so laser couplers, and we're going to put them like this. Replace that, and they should all be attached, fantastic, and then let's put in our... Now, as always, I am still learning the game, so I will be making some efficiency mistakes while building this. Oh, by the way, the engine's basically running along the entire section here, as you can see. So this way the engine's kept, the entire cavity is filled with the engine. That's why the engine is quite powerful for its size, and it's a half custom engine basically. Okay, then so this increases damage. This will increase range. Yes. I can't remember which one increases range. That's quite important for this, purely because the non-Q switch variety has a much shorter range than the Q switch variety, thus meaning that if we don't have a Q switch to cause the laser to shoot in a stutter, it's going to not have the range we want, so we're going to have to buff it up as much as possible in this section. Now, I don't know what's better to... Ooh, hello, that's not as good as us. Ah, that's a shame. That's a shame. At least we've got a few more. I honestly thought we was going to get 0 on the side, so it's more than I thought we were going to have, but still. So each one of these pumps, for those who don't know, basically puts power into the cavity. The cavity then supplies the laser to the laser. So currently the range is nil, basically. Laser damage is 10.5, AP is 1, range is 59, which obviously is terrible. So which one increases the range is the question. So this is the destabler, which is the strength increase, I believe. Yeah, this increases damage. Does it also increase range? It does, okay. So how about the frequency doubler? This is the AP one, so this is the armor piercing item. Also increases range by a similar amount. Okay then, so obviously we're going to need this a fair bit stronger and a fair bit longer range. I don't mind eating into this section as it's going to be small anyway, so that was just like a kind of primitive, like, is this how I want it? Okay, so now the range is at 400, it's still terrible. That's partially because of how small this is. I mean, even with laser cavity, it all plays a part. The damage is good now, but the range isn't. So perhaps we should have... We could have the brig on a different level, the helm on a different level, and make stairs towards it, and I'm thinking that might be the case. Okay. See, as soon as you add the Q switch, the range goes through the roof. So we definitely have enough, armor piercing with that, but I don't think we have enough damage, honestly. But remember, this is continuous, and that's the thing. It's damaging every second. Actually, I think it's every less than a second it causes damage. So if the damage does look a bit... Oh, okay, so this definitely increases the range by less than the frequency doubler. Okay, then. Okay, now I want to know what's better, then. Would it be better to have all these, or simply to increase the amount of laser cavities? See, it's all science for me, because I've never really played with these. So it's 43.69, and the range is 989. And replace. 989 now becomes... Oh yeah, I kind of forgot. I was in mirror mode then, I was wondering where it went. Oh, range is now, yeah, much further. So, to increase the range, it would be better to simply have more of these. Okay, that's understandable. So, let's do just that then, shall we? I think, honestly, if I had 2,000 range, I'd be happy. Well, not happy, but happy enough, really. Of course, it is also being affected by the fact we can't pump in much power from the sides, which is kind of sucky, but that's kind of just how it's going to be, sadly. Now, I wanted to play around with this purely because I've never actually had a laser with the continuous. I've never had a continuous laser before. It's one of those, it's probably the only weapon system type now I've not actually used before. And you could say it's perhaps not its own type, because of course it is just for laser, but still. Ah. The range is the same, but that could just be because of that. Why is that? Okay, but so, science, 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 so it's all to do with science. So range 1082, we get the frequency doubler and we plonk it into here. What about now? So it's kind of like a medium we need to kind of strike then. So 131. Let's replace this one. And then that becomes 130. So that's slightly better, but and will increase the armor piercing. Okay, I think that's probably the best we're going to get just in that little space. There, of course, we could make it better, but for now, that's okay. Let's make sure it works and doesn't drain all of our power in 2 seconds, shall we? So, a laser combiner goes there, and then just give it whatever. There, of course, we're going to shoot our own ship now by doing this, but that's because we're testing. Definitely likes to drain our shield. Well, it breaks things which aren't metal quite easily, and it does quite a bit of damage to metal. The 2 side guns can eat away at metal quite easily, it must be said. Of course, if you think of the Ecolize gun stretches for the entire ship, and has a similar setup, but with far more of everything. Don't think I'm happy with the damage, though. But I think it just requires testing, honestly. So, let's do just that then, shall we? That can go away. Don't need the things there. So, we need the laser transceiver to point upwards. And yes, I know I'm making mistakes. So, we do this, and then we have the metal up here. Once again, right now we're just testing, so this won't be the finished design for 100% certain there. Because all I'm doing this for is because now I'm going to add a turret. New item, spin block, and precision spin block. Goes there. It's not a spin block, a turret, a turret. Oh, I've got my mind in spin blocks. So, new object, 360 turret, precision turret blaze. Thank you. Then, what we need to do is just make it... I'll make it out of wood, because science requires wood. Lasers, and I want the laser transceiver to be put here. That should connect. Yep, excellent. And then we change this to a laser coupler on top. And finally, we add the laser combiner once more, which should all be connected happily. Okay, then we just spam these. Accuracy, and how far it can turn, though honestly that's not too needed in a turret. Finally, AI, local weapons controller. 2 of them, for science. I don't know how that actually reacts, so let's not do that. For science. And we have a receiver, okay. So, save the vehicle as test, and I'll respawn it at the start so we can spawn in an enemy just to test it out. Okay, we return, and let's spawn in a couple of enemies to do some testing. How about a Marauder in their new form? Because right now actually it's quite pretty. They've added metal and everything. Okay, so there's the continuous laser firing. Let's disconnect there. Well, it did its job. To be fair, it did its job, and it did devour the wood quite quickly. However, I have a feeling that possibly, since we have so much space, what we should do is take up the entire space if we're going to have the continuous. I feel that if it was the Q-switch variety, it would be a lot better. And there goes the second explosion. Like I say, this vessel is nothing in comparison to the larger vessels. It only costs so far 50,000 metal, so it is actually quite cheap. It's a cheap and expendable ship, and I was wanted to be more of a nuisance there. Originally, it was going to be a purely defensive ship, and I thought, why not add laser weaponry instead? I do like the fact it's continuously hurting it. I love the constant little mini explosions. But it cuts through wood pretty darn fast. I'll give it that much. It also cuts through glass pretty darn fast as well. Although we are on a bit of a collision course right now. It was cool. Of course, that needs to be on the actual turret piece itself, otherwise it can't turn. But okay, that was cool. It was cool. I'll admit that much. It was very interesting indeed. But I think I don't know. I don't know, certain threats. I think either I've done something wrong or it's not quite well. I do know it's not meant to be as powerful as the Q switch. That's why you don't see the Q switch in higher play. But still, I was expecting a little bit more, honestly. Okay, so lasers, and let's sort out this section as well in the same manner as the bottom section. Okay, now this thing has been changed. Let's see if we can perhaps see the difference. Now apparently the stats have increased greatly by doing this, so I believe that perhaps the I think that perhaps the continuous laser is more stacking than the Q switch. Also, the top section now has gone more for it's gone much more into the destabilizers and the frequency doublers as opposed to the cavities, as I think I may have gone a bit too far into the cavities. So let's give it a go and let's spawn in another marauder and see how this laser does. Hope it spawns in a little bit further away. Oops, all the way back there. Okay, well, good job. I made sure the turret could twist. Let's look, see. That's doing so much better. That's went straight through it. Ooh, that's going to hurt. No, my paddle! You hurt my paddle, you bugger. Well, as we can see in the top right corner, saying the damage, that is significantly better. Okay, I think it's safe to say I've done too many of these. It doesn't seem... Also, that has completely drained my energy. That's, like, perfect. It's draining just enough of my engine to keep me with some engine left. I wonder how well it would do with a Q switch, though. I've got to wonder how much better would the Q switch actually be. I mean, even if it is better, I'm not going to swap over, but I am very, very curious. For the sake of science, I must be sated. Which one? Oh god, trying to figure out which one of these is actually attached to what is quite difficult. Okay, that's all of them attached, yeah? Wow, with both of them going, that's really quite cool. Pulse laser damage is... Well, it's draining my engine a bit more. But oh, look at the difference between the two. Like, that pulse laser is actually impressively painful. So which one isn't... Oh, it's this one here. So now they're all pulse. Let's try again with the Marauder at full health. Now the pulse laser's online. Straight away cut through it. Okay. What I do find is that the pulse laser is better for weapons, but the continuous is better for the anti-missile system. As currently these are both pulse, but I tried them out as continuous and they seem to do better. So, as we can see, the pulse just makes it so much more effective. Hey, then your two little baby side guns come online as well. Okay, well, let's neaten this up, and I'll decide, maybe what I'll do is I'll have these two as continuous and the main as pulse. I don't want to do that, though. I really want a good... I'll have to look up possibly a guide off camera, so although, of course, your tips are appreciated, I am going to look up a guide myself on the continuous lasers to see what I'm doing wrong. In fact, just lasers in general, because I am still a laser novice, I'll be the first to admit. So I'm going to pretty this up a little bit, and I'll be right back. Okay, we're back, just because I've got a bit of an unscheduled change I've decided to do. So, like I said, I didn't quite like these, because, well, you can add wood to them, you can make them look 20 times nicer very, very easily. So I'm removing both of them. Bang, and they're gone. And how I'm going to do it is I'm going to have this section here attached to a completely separate section at the back here, which is essentially the engine section. So basically, I'm trying to make it look as much as possible as if the metal segments, in particular the red metal segments, are almost parasitic on the wooden original hull. So of course this poor wooden kayak, whatever, has been basically stolen by the Lathrixian Empire and fitted with everything we could possibly get it, and then shipped out to war. So that's what we're going to do. It also gives me a chance to perhaps add some extra buoyancy in that I can either attach it with wood, or I could make the section holding the new thing, the new, what do I want to call it, the propellers, the paddles. Well, I can make it hollow and filled with lovely air pumps, so that's probably what I'm going to end up doing. So right now is a good chance it's going to sink backwards, or completely sink altogether, because I'm adding metal, even more metal, to this lovely structure and not giving it any buoyancy at the same time. So there's a good chance we're going to have a nice sinking ship on our hands, which would be kind of cool. That's why I'm not making it float. I'm kind of waiting for it to completely buckle. So a little bit bigger than that, because I want it to be able to move extremely slowly. So it's going to be held there-ish, I think. So what I need to do now is just, where's the colour replace mode? There we go. I would like you both to turn red. There we are. Just so it looks like that piece is connecting into it. Okay, back to how I was doing though. No, I want to go back. There we go, thank you. Okay, so let's do that then. So do I want two spinners? Yeah, I think what I'll do is I'll have two spinners both facing together, and then them kind of coming together, just one off the middle, or I can have one slightly bigger. If they're both on the same turn speed and they're both the exact same looks, it shouldn't be too obvious. Okay, so now I would actually like to raise it from the depths. Ha! From the depths! Also, I have to remove this, I just thought. How do you turn off colour replace mode? Oh, okay, so it's as simple as actually just picking a block and then placing it. Well, I didn't know that, because I hadn't done colour replace mode for quite some time. Also, just dawns on me, this little bit here is too long as well because of the previous thing there, so we can change that as well. No need to add that, and I'll keep this red. Should I make this all... Okay, yeah, make the whole section there. Actually, I think I prefer that being the regular colour, because at least it looks like the small laser... Oops, Daisy. The small laser segment was kind of, made out of something else beforehand. And then let's just regular block and replace what I just destroyed. There we go. So let's put it there. Actually, so far, I'm actually really happy with how it looks. It looks exactly like I wanted it to, which is a rare thing for me to actually have happen. So, how am I going to do this? So I think how I need to do it is... I'm going to do this, just because I don't want the actual spin block itself and such to look like it's made out of the red segment. Because, again, the red segment's like parasitic section. I can imagine this was there originally, so it's been kind of placed awkwardly because everything else has been attached. Although this won't sort out the problem of buoyancy, which honestly right now I don't care so much about. So we need the new object, we need no. So I'm adding the turret for this, and that for, oh, I'm a bit silly. So I want the precision turn block, and we want it to face like this, I believe. Excellent! And then my whole world turns upside down and I get really confused. And then we're going to add block, and we'll use metal and metal beam. And so this one's going to be the larger of the two. Now, like I say, it shouldn't be obvious at the end if they're both turning at the same speed, as they're both basically going to be touching each other. So it shouldn't even look like there's two bits connected. Because I could do it as one. I could do it as one, quite simply, and have it like this. Oops, daisy. Like this, and then it would look like it's both, and it would look like it's unconnected to both, but maybe I should just do it like that. Yeah, let's just do it like that, because that'll be easier. Okay, so where are the paddles? They're in the water, aren't they? Water and paddles, and then we want oh god, the camera controls when you're upside down and stuff is horrible, it must be said. It is ridiculously bad. So which way? There we go, like this. Okay, so cap that, and let's just put them all in. Okay, so the basic thing is now there. We don't currently have the spin block controller, so let's do that now, just to make sure it actually sends us forward. We're probably going to sink. Oddly enough, it seems like the paddles, I swear, actually cause the thing to sink, to like stop sinking. Maybe they have some buoyancy of their own. Doesn't really matter too much. So control, we want the automatic control block. Let's put it down here, and every few seconds turn it on, and we want the spin blocks, rotation speed, tiny. That's sending us into an early grave. That's sending us right down. which is to be expected. Kind of love that though. Every time it moves in, the whole thing rocks. I do kind of like the look of it though. It's just because we haven't got enough buoyancy at the front, that's what it is. So we do need to figure out a way to add buoyancy to the front. What I could do is build downwards here. I mean, that is just... I just love it though. I love the idea of this huge thing at the back pushing it forward. Oh, by the way, would you like to see the effect if you put it on 30? Yep. It always goes a little bit insane once you turn things like that to maximum. Nice and slowly. Maybe it would be better if I had it on both sides. Just because it does add a certain level of stability. Plus it'd be easier to make it pretty than this thing. Which honestly isn't too difficult. You just basically attach wood to each one from one to the other, and it just makes it look like it's a solid structure rather than these weird fans. Okay, maybe I'll do that then. Okay, that's a shame. That's a shame. It was a good test. I mean, we tested how it looked, we tested how it would work, and sadly, the function just wouldn't be okay. Well, it would be if I had more buoyancy and more space to do that. But like I say, I don't mind this thing being heavy, but I don't want it to be like that. Bye. So let's put them here instead. Then I do actually have a sub-object made already, which is the mini paddle with the terrible caps lock because I had caps lock on because I was floating the ship. Put that there. Oh yeah, these things need to be changed. They need to be put in reverse. Sorry, that side needs to be put in reverse because obviously I have it on both sides, just copied and pasted. Did I just put that the wrong... Nope, it's the right block, okay. There we go. See, that one will go the right way, so what I need to do is stop editing the spinner blocks for a second. How do I access your thing? Do I have to be out of build mode? Or am I just being silly? I could just be being silly, honestly. Well, there we go. Anyway, you need to be in you need to be in continuous reverse. There we go. And once again, we're now moving forward at a very, very, very slow pace. Actually, no, moving backwards because I wasn't paying attention to which one was which. That's just fantastic. So this one was the correct one. The other one's the incorrect one. Herp-de-derp-de-derp. Okay, it's now moving forward and I've got that set up. So now what I need to do is obviously either A, make it faster, you know, more than 1, or B, make it bigger. I might just make it faster, honestly. Let's see what effect it has at 3. Wow, it makes the front lift. I swear these add buoyancy. Remember, the water is actually here, so this section here is actually currently underwater. So it's still not going to obviously add buoyancy in a section, in the sense of actually adding buoyancy. Wow. Well, that's kind of scary. Slow down! I don't want to take off. It's kind of cool you can almost do that, but still, please don't take off. Okay. Wow, that really does make the front go up, my lord. So maybe it should be at the back, well, further at the back anyway, just not as huge as I just had it, that's all. Again, this is not the first time really playing with these. I do love them, they've got a certain charm to them which I like. Okay, that seems stable enough. I'm not completely sinking, we're just a bit low in the water, that's all. And with the current water glitch, we can't see where the water is. You can't even tell this bit's underwater. It looks like it isn't. Actually, is it? Huh, no, it isn't. It's actually... No, we're not... Oh, we're not sinking. Excellent. Okay, then. I'm actually okay with that, then. We don't really want this thing to be fast, don't we? And don't worry, this thing can turn very well because of its front propellers. Okay, so let's sort out the turret, then. So, we need to set that back up as it was before, but this time, obviously, a more permanent solution. Well, before we make the turret final and its armour around these lovely things, I wish to test one last thing, and that is the test of multiple combiners on a single... Wow, that's loud! On a single laser. Now, what happens is, what should happen, is the damage is basically split because each of them tries to use a certain amount of the stored laser, which means they should be able to, well, just fire happily like that. So that's what we're going to test out right now. We're just going to see if it really makes a huge difference, and can I actually have it like this, because this is kind of cool, honestly, so it'd be very nice if we could. So let's just have it a couple of those. So I don't like how these look when they get too big, so let's try and keep it like that. It's 1, 2, 3. Oop, that's 4 by accident. Let's do 3 again, and then let's just attach a simple AI system, and then we'll go ahead and test it again. So AI, local weapons controller as always, make sure it's actually connected to the thingy-majiggy-bob. The thingy-majiggy-bob. I'm good with terms, Sunstress. I'm very good with terms. Am I still trying to edit the... Yep, I'm still trying to edit the turret. That explains why I can't place the darn thing. There we go. Controls one weapon, fantastic, and then we add the receiver. Like so. Okay, so let's save it again as test. By the way, I actually have figured out a name for it, and I'll reveal that at the end. And then let's test it versus a Marauder, as always. Time for testing. Okay, so Marauder, come and take your place in the testing arena. Let's see how this does. Oven look freaking awesome. Wow, it really scatters the shots. So, a lot more collateral damage, but because of the lack of a single aiming point, it's not doing what the laser should be doing, which of course is dealing a blow to its AI and such. Also, because it's split into multiple, each laser is weaker than the original. So I think if we had a bigger laser system, it probably would work with multiple, but it does seem to do better with a single. Because it is doing the same amount of damage, it's just splitting it into an area. I mean, if you look, it's just destroyed chunks of the enemy, but of course this is wood and metal, not just pure metal, so... Although that is freaking cool, I've got to say. Okay. So I think I am pretty convinced that perhaps less than 6. How about if we had 3? How about if we had 3? Let's make it the Nurgle. Oops, no, actually that's one of the ones I actually wanted. Lasers, steering optics. Is that reattached? It's kind of buggily attached. Oh, what have I done wrong? Focusing. There is no focusing. Range and accuracy, okay, so it's just called to a different there for some reason. There we go. Okay, so let's make it the Nurgle symbol, which is essentially 3 circles. So if we delete these. And then delete the one in the middle here. That is essentially the Nurgle symbol. It's basically, if you Google Nurgle, you'll see it. It's essentially 3 circles with arrows coming out of each space, and then lots of disease and stuff. And because since we are venerating the god of disease, of course, we should be keeping it as it is. Now, the question is, can this turret even actually move? I think it might not be able to because of these two. I'm not certain. I didn't actually see it move when I was using it just then, but perhaps that's because I wasn't paying attention. It can. Okay, good. Okay, I see things being destroyed a lot faster. It's definitely still suffering a little bit because of the split, but nowhere near as much. And honestly, it just looks way more erratic, which is kind of cool. Then the 2 side guns basically become backup guns as I am completely draining all of my engine power. Okay. Alrighty then, well let's get to editing this, that should be that. So, I'm going to use some light alloy now just because, well, we've kind of reached the maximum weight and a bit at this stage. So, I'm actually going to have to wait until the gun's back to its original position, so I'll just very skip ahead until that. And we return to the almost finished version of the ship, which I am actually remarkably happy with, as it looks exactly like I wanted it to. A small undercarriage ship being completely smothered and strangled by a metal monstrosity bolted to it, which is kind of the idea we're going with our fleet. Lots of retrofitting causing a almost parasitic kind of bond between previous incarnations and the current incarnations. As you can see, a lot of the stuff is still very exposed, so obviously it's not quite finished, but I have run out of time. And I am happy with how it's progressing. I need to add some stuff to the back, so it's less of just a solid piece of wood here. And then we're pretty much done. Also, of course, making the sides here prettier. So, like I say, I will be posting this on the Steam page once it is completely finished. I will be posting I will mention it in the description if it is out before the video is out. And if not, it will be mentioned in the next episode, as I'm certain it'll be finished before then. But now, we have to name this little bugger. And the name is already there. It is going to be called the Pylori. Now, Pylori is a species of Helicobacter, I hope I said that correctly, which is essentially a gram-negative bacterium. You don't really need to know every detail. Essentially, what you need to know is this is a disease which most of the time, when it enters your body, it simply survives in the stomach and eventually gets either removed by your antibodies or simply passes through. But if you are suffering from too much acid, you've got some stomach damage, etc., the H. pylori causes something very horrible. It causes stomach ulcers, which are, well, they're no laughing matter. They can be extremely painful and can cause all sorts of complications down the line. But the whole point is, it tends not to cause issues, which is basically what this ship is. Also, I do just like the name Pylori. I just think that sounds pretty darn cool. So the Pylori here will be our ship, and yeah, like I was saying, it doesn't cause issues most of the time. The lasers aren't particularly powerful and need to be tweaked. I'm going to be altering them quite heavily to being more efficient, because I actually saw quite a few problems with them, which I won't really mention now, but there are several problems which I do need to fix, which I know how to fix thankfully, so they will be fixed off camera. But yeah, it doesn't cause problems most of the time, but in the right place, in the right time, perhaps if the E. coli has already been hurting the thing, then this thing will be able to cause all sorts of nasty problems for the enemy. So the Pylori lives up to its name. And I need to alter so many things I need to alter. I need to alter these, I need to alter this. Oh, everything needs to be altered, but I've got the basic framework down, and I am happy with how it looks, which is the important thing. So, without any more to say, really, thank you so much for watching, Sir and Sirettes. If you have enjoyed the video, then of course, likes, favourites, shares, comments, all that good stuff helps out me, helps out the channel, and most importantly, shows that From the Depths is a series you wish to see continued in the future. Thank you so much for watching, have a lovely day, please do take care, and until next time, goodbye.